This morning we light the candle of hope. And as Clayton and Nancy read the scripture this morning out of Isaiah chapter 9, it is easy to understand the hopelessness that Israel was in. This season can be one of difficulty for many. When everybody else around them is joy, 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 rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. My mind goes to the family that I know that lost their home last week. That family that lost a loved one recently. The issues that we may be facing in our lives. Maybe we're having family issues or relational issues, or we're having job issues, or you fill in your own blank. And it's easy for us to be in a state of hopelessness. Hopelessness is defined as a lack of optimism, a lack of positivity, a lack of ambition. Hopelessness tends to have questions that aren't really questions. They're more statements of an inner reality for them. Why? What good's it going to do? I don't see a way out. Why should I try? It's not going to get any better. This comes from hearts and minds of those that are in a state of hopelessness. And it can be overwhelming to us to live in this state of hopelessness. In verse 1 of chapter 9, nevertheless, God says through the prophet Isaiah, the gloom of the distressed land will not be like that of the former times. How many of us can look at the news or look at those in the shops or look at those around our neighborhoods and we see gloom? How many of us sometimes struggle with the bah humbugs coming into this season? It's easy, isn't it? It's easy to get into that mentality. Well, it's just all commercialized. So make it like Christ. Well, everybody's just out for themselves. So be different. Show Christ. Show love. Well, I just don't see any difference it's going to make. It can make all the difference in the world. Israel had been in exile. And he said, look, it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be like that. Israel, the northern kingdom, was in exile, and they had been in exile, and they had been taken away. And now he's speaking to the southern kingdom of Judah, and he says, look, it's not going to be like that. Yes, you're going to be in difficulties. Yes, you're going to go through tough times. Yes, you're going to be in that particular moment. And that's going to be distressful. And that's going to be horrible. And it's going to be hard. And you're going to have moments of hopelessness. But in the future, he will bring honor to the way of the sea, to the land east of the Jordan, and to Galilee of the nations. There will come a time where light will return. There will come a time for those living in darkness that a light will dawn. And as he speaks to Israel, he speaks to our hearts too. That in the difficulties, there is a path. In all the problems, there are solutions. In the hopelessness, there is hope. And we want to talk about that and sing about that hope this morning. And as we consider all of these things, O come thou dayspring, come and cheer our spirits by thine advent here. Disperse the gloomy clouds of night and death's dark shadows put to flight. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel will come to you. So the people were dealing with a sense of hopelessness. And through the prophet Isaiah, God wanted to bring hope back into their reality. And so as we walk through these verses together, make sure to jot down some thoughts that the Lord is leading you to have about areas in your own life. Maybe God wants to encourage you, bring hope to you, and help you through our time together. And so we've established here in verse 1 that what Israel is about to go through and what Judah is about to go through, and that the Lord is trying to help them understand that even in the midst of hopelessness, hope can still be a reality. In verse 2, we begin to see hope being described. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. Think about that from hope's perspective. Walking around in the dark, and suddenly you can see a light, and a light will lead you where you need to go so that you don't have to go through all of the difficulties that you're going to have to go through. It reminds me of the electrical system in our bathroom at my house, because there's the light switch to turn the light on is all the way across the bathroom. And so you have to go in with a sense of dread. What am I going to run into? What am I going to step on? What am I going to stub my toe against? Am I going to run smack into a wall because I can't see where I'm going? And then the switch comes on. And so we've learned in the last couple of years in this particular house that once darkness arrives, that the interior light, there's a singular light on the inside, we leave that on. And now, in the middle of the night, or before we go to bed, in the middle of the evening, as I'm coming through the bedroom to go into the bathroom, there's a great new hope. Because the light has dawned on the inside. Now that's just a microcosm. Just a little bitty funny thing. But if you think about it, when you feel hopeless, there is a sense of darkness that just is over you. And you need a light to help you get out of it. You need a light that will provide a pathway. A light that will show you where you need to take your next steps. We're going to talk about that light in a little bit. Those that are living in darkness, this is all they know. If you live in a state of hopelessness long enough, that's the only outlook you'll have. When you start out in gloom and doom, when you start out toward hopelessness, you'll have moments of hopelessness and moments of hope. It'll be a balance, but the longer that you stay in hopelessness, the longer that you reside there, the longer that you set up camp, the longer that you feel that way, hope will start to lessen in your life, and hopelessness will rise to where that's all that you're going to know. Over the course of time, without the light coming into your life, that's all you're going to know. And soon, it's all that people will know about you. And Isaiah is telling these people, look, you're going to be years in this. But fear not, dread not, because there is something coming. I have not let you go. I have not forgotten you. I have not forsaken you. And oh my goodness, friends, how often is it when we get in hopelessness that those are the things Satan brings to the forefront of our mind? God, have you forgotten me? God, do you not know what's going on? God, do you not care about me anymore? And it just drives us down into the gloom and the darkness and the pit of despair. And my friends, God says, but there's a child that's coming. I haven't let you go. I haven't forgotten. I'm not out of touch. I'm right there with you. I'm walking with you through it. I'm going to be with you through that. And there is a light for the darkness that you're living in. You have enlarged the nation and increased its joy. This is what hope is going to be for you. You're going to have some physical growth. You've increased your joy. You're going to have emotional growth. The people have rejoiced before you as they rejoice at harvest time, as they rejoiced when dividing spoils. No, we don't understand that terminology much these days. We don't live in an agrarian society. We don't live where at harvest time that's your income for the whole year. We don't live in that world right now. That's not where we are. So how do I understand verse 3? It says that you're going to have joy like you do at harvest. Think about it this way. Think about the stress that you may have 2 days before your paycheck arrives. You've got these bills. You've got this bank account. And that gap is coming to a close. When payday arrives, right? Now, maybe you don't live, but I have a feeling more of us than we're willing to admit live check to check to check. And praise God if you don't. But many people I know live check to check. And so as the week goes on, as that 2 weeks goes on, or if you get paid monthly, as that month goes on, you start sweating it. And the joy when payday arrives and that check gets in that bank account, think about how the joy that you've got. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And it just changes your demeanor, right? Now, I know all of you are too spiritual to think that way. No, we do trust in the Lord, but the reality is sometimes we get a little fearful. Because you got more bills than I got month. And here, this is what he's saying. You're going to have the kind of joy like that. You're going to have the kind of joy when you get a windfall that comes into your life. You're going to have that kind of joy. When's the last time you had that kind of joy, that kind of hope in your life? How long has it been since that's been the reality of your everyday experience? God says, this is what I'm going to provide. In your darkness, I'm going to give light. In your hopelessness, I'm going to bring hope. For you have shattered their oppressive yoke and the rod on their shoulders, the staff of their oppressor, just as you did on the day of Midian. So here he's trying to remind the people that this hope that's coming is like when you were in Egypt and they shattered that yoke against all odds. I mean, if you just go and read that, you've got an entire nation enslaved by another nation, and they are harshly enslaved against all odds. He saves them. And he moves them, and he gets them out from under that. Against all odds, the Gideon from the least of the clans would rise up and lead Israel and deliver Israel from the hands of the Midianites. There's no way that should have worked. Oh, everybody thought it was going to work when it was 30,000 guys. But when it's Gideon and his small band of 300, they're like, I'm not so sure. How could we ever defeat them with just so little? Because when God's in the mix, there's more than you can imagine. When God's brought into the mix, there's more than you can hope, more than you can imagine, more than you could fathom, because God can do infinitely more than we could ever think or dream. This is the hope God brings to us. And this is the hope that is being explained here in verses 4, 5, and 6. For every trampling boot of battle and the bloodied garments of war will be burned as fuel for the fire. God brought a victory. God brought the victory. They're getting to enjoy. When they were enslaved, God brought a victory. They couldn't accomplish on their own. God brought the victory, they're getting to enjoy. My friends, if you have given your heart in faith to the activity of what Jesus has already done for us, you couldn't do that. God brought you a victory. God brought you out of the sin and the slavery to sin. He's brought you out of that into a glorious new moment and a glorious new light that you no longer have to suffer in that slavery to sin, but you can live in the hope and the gospel and the peace of Jesus Christ. God brought you a victory. You didn't earn it, but you get to enjoy it. What a great and wonderful truth for all of us in this moment. If you've given your heart to Jesus, that is a reality for you. Now look what he's going to do. For a child will be born for us, and a son will be given to us. And the government will be on his shoulders. He will be named Wonderful Counselor. Means he's going to be qualified to do the job. He's a mighty God. Means he's able to rule. He's the eternal Father. This is how he will relate to us. He's the Prince of Peace. This is the culture that he will create with us. And his dominion will be vast. And its prosperity will never end. My friends, the dominion that God established in Jesus Christ is a permanent one. It is not of the kings of old. It is not of kings of the day. It is not a routine change. It's not national elections. It's not midterm elections. It's not any of the... It is a permanent fixture. When a child was born to us, hopelessness walked out and hope was ushered in, because it is a permanent dominion that God has established in and through Jesus Christ. This is the reality that we get to experience. Not the reality of hopelessness. That's the devil's way to bring you down. But God has brought Jesus in the form of this child who would grow to be a man and would die a horrible death just because he wants to rid us of the slavery to sin, the hopelessness in our life, so we can establish a new kingdom in and through Jesus Christ. This is the reality in which we get to live. And Jesus is qualified and able, and he can do this. The dominion will be vast. Its prosperity never ends. He reigns on the throne of David and over his kingdom. Not only is he a permanent king, he's a powerful king. And he's going to establish and sustain it with justice and righteousness from now on and forever. The zeal of the Lord of armies will accomplish this. The passion of God will accomplish this. We don't have to conjure up that passion. We don't have to drive up that passion. We don't have to try to get it. God's going to do it. My friends, we could not exit the slavery to sin. It took Jesus Christ, this child that was born to our hopelessness. He wants to bring hope. So my friends, if you are wondering how in the world can a child bring hope? How in the world could a child accomplish this? It is a wondrous, wondrous mystery how a child can bring hope. So how does this child bring such hope to us? Because he didn't remain a child. The magnificent, marvelous, matchless love of God, Jesus grew into a man. And as he did, and the provision that he gave us by his life, his death, his burial, and his resurrection gives us a hope that we cannot find on our own. My friends, Jesus gives you the option of light for the dark place in your life. Whatever dark place you may be finding yourself, Jesus gives you an option for that. Whether it's a dark place of depression, a dark place of disaster in your life, a dark place of grief in your life, a dark place of other issues that are maybe going on and swirling on the inside of you. My friends, in the darkness that you have, Jesus gives you an option for light. The question is, will you choose it? Will you choose Jesus as that option of light? Not only is he the love, he is the light of our life. And that light, for those of us walking in darkness, as Isaiah said, is going to bring us a sense of hope. It gives us a hope in our life. Jesus gives you stability in these unstable moments. The permanency of Jesus, the prosperity of Jesus, the opportunity that He brings us because of how He rules and the dominion that He has and the kingdom that He brings is a stable one, not an unstable one. We live in unstable times, and we're not the first ones to do it. Human government and human will and human decisions bring instability in our lives. It is Jesus who reminds us and helps us regain stability in unstable times and unstable moments. Jesus gives you that stability. Will you choose it? Will you choose Jesus as the stability for your life? Jesus takes your burdens that you can't carry. Or you think you can. And we have tried. We try all the time. We try to carry it ourselves. I can handle it. I can do it. I just have to. I just need to. I just want to. I want to make this commitment, this dedication. Oh, I can do better. I can be better. My friends, stop trying to carry a burden you were not intended to carry. When Jesus will carry your burden for you. My friends, many of you trusted Him once to carry the burden of your sin and give you a hope of eternity. Let Him carry your day-to-day burdens and bring you a hope today too. If you trusted Him once, trust Him today. Let Him carry that burden, whatever it is that you're going through, whatever that's bringing you gloom and despair and hopelessness and darkness in your life. Jesus wants to carry it. And Jesus will carry it. Why not choose hope today?